Hello everyone, welcome to KAIST ONE Mexico. Please give a round of applause for Mexican students and their friends who helped organize this event for you guys. Good, we have welcome to KAIST ONE Mexico. Well, since you're very enthusiastic, please give another round of applause. To ISS, who
The quality is not very good,
international
but
communities in many
it should be
ways
fine.
in ways this evening.
Oh, are you like
Yes.
are you broadcasting it?
Yeah, so I'm filming
Another
it from
round
one
of applause
Facebook
for
account and I'm just
Mr.
checking the
Lee
quality
from
from another
ISS
one.
office, who is here today and he would like to say a few words.
Is this the
Hello,
first time?
everyone.
Like this one?
It's great to
Is this
see
the
you
first time,
again.
guys?
Yeah.
For me,
This is gonna be
it's like
free
that our
Yeah.
next students
That's
prepare
funny.
a lot and something great. Today, actually, it is my great honor to have a special guest from Mexican Embassy, Mr. Raul Mendoza Gallo, Third Secretary of Culture and Education. So, thank you for joining us today. It is great to have you on our KAIST ONE Mexico. So, if you don't mind, would you give us a few words before we start the presentation? And please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Hi everyone, good evening, buenas noches. Thanks for the invitation to this magnificent event. I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time in Tejon and in KAIST, of course. I know that this school is a very prestigious one, and I'm sure that our students, our Mexican fellow students, are having a good time here. I can see that they are bringing the Mexican culture at their best, their most original form. And I prepared a very formal speech, but I'm not reading it because it's a more friendly environment. I just want to say that on behalf of the Embassy of Mexico, we're very happy to have this opportunity to be here. My ambassador couldn't be here because he has another event, but he asked me to convey his greetings and to convey his congratulations to you for this effort and for inviting us. Thank you very much. I know that you have made a very good effort in making all this. This is a very important date for Mexicans. I don't know if you have heard, because we're celebrating on the 2nd of November, the Day of the Dead, which is one of the most important, I think, one of the most important tradition for Mexican people. And it's about commemorating those who came before us. And we say that more than being a celebration of the dead people, it's more about celebrating the life of those people who came before us and are no longer with us. So I'm not taking any more time because you want to see the performances and everything they have prepared. And again, thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you very much, sir, for those kind words. And with this, enjoy the event.
Hello everyone, welcome to KAIST ONE Mexico. Like, very first of all, well, I want to thank Raul and us, the embassy, for supporting us in this presentation. And well, I want to say thank you also all of this crowd over here who have helped us to make this presentation. Cristobal, Carla, Dionisio, Juan Luis, Lucero, and Edwin, who is also a graduate student from KAIST, but he's already working. That also helped us to make this presentation possible. And also the Latin American Students Association.
This never goes above 10.
Are you broadcasting on YouTube or?
On both Facebook and YouTube. On both Facebook and YouTube.
So, let's start. So, very first, I would like to give you an introduction about
Are you the
what
only
is
here at the
Mexico
moment?
as our country, like very briefly.
No, I think it's someone else.
Okay.
Well, Mexico is located in the American continent. As you can see here, it's on the left. Sometimes they're regarded as South America and Korea. Maybe you have heard about it. Sometimes they call it Latin America, but technically it is North America and it's in the Americas. Mexico is not actually a desert, so it has a lot of very different climates. We have also some template forests. We also have even like half mountains with polar weather, and also some dry parts, as you can see in this photo. And well, we're well known because of tacos and tequila. So you may know already like what is tequila. This very, very, very magical drink that sometimes makes me lose your memory. It hasn't happened to me, but usually after tequila, we also have tacos. And a lot of people around here have asked me like, what are tacos? How do you eat tacos? Where can I have tacos? But tacos, more than just like a dish, is more like a format of food. So you can find very different kinds of tacos, so you can see in the photos. And you will know a little bit more about later. And Mexico, how do you describe Mexico? Well, Mexico is young, happy, impulsive, a party animal. Woo! It's also kids, funny, extrovert, religious, and passionate. That's how we would describe it. We speak also Spanish and other 62 languages, which are actually official languages of Mexico, and they're spoken by indigenous people. And on average, we're 27.5 years old, so we're actually youngish. And we're around 112 million people, and actually we're the most populous country in the world who speaks Spanish. Actually, in Mexico, 17% of the people live in urban areas, and in Mexico City, we can find around 20 million people. And the biggest city, or the city with the most Mexicans outside Mexico, is actually Los Angeles, California. So if you ever have been to Los Angeles, you can see that there's Spanish everywhere, there's Mexican food, even though it's not Mexico. Actually, it's also very delicious. Here is where you can find most of the indigenous people in Mexico, which is like from the center to the south of Mexico, like usually around Mexico City to the south. And actually, Oaxaca is a very famous destination that you can visit, where you can find a lot of indigenous people and actually very delicious food. Well, and actually Oaxaca is home to the super mega delicious queso Oaxaca, which is, yeah, you can see it on the left. It might not look like a cheese, but you can see it on the left, like in the natural presentation, and on the right, on the shred presentation, as we use it for this next dish that you can see, which is quesadillas. So maybe you have heard about quesadillas. Around there you can find quesadillas. And on the left you can see a tlayuda that you can find also in Oaxaca. And we use this cheese, and we love cheese.
And but for Japan, it's like 15, I think.
So I want to also talk about something about Mexico that, did you ever ask a Mexican, how is a Mexican? I think they kind of describe it like physically. I have found people in Korea that you ask like, how are Koreans? And they can describe themselves like physically, right? But Mexico is like that. Mexico is more like a mix of different expressions that I'll show you here. So for example, we have these kind of churches that they look like a regular church, maybe a little bit more colorful. But inside, for example, this church, which is Tonantzintla, this is part of the Mexican, not the Spanish Baroque. So here you can see this is all of like covered all in gold inside. It took like 300 years to be finished. And it has like some subtle details where you can see the influence and the mix and merge of different cultures that are in Mexico. So for example, you can find these angels or cherubims that you can see, for example, on the right. And it looks like a regular angel, right? But I don't know if you can see like on the head, there's some feathers. And those kind of feathers are the feathers that the Aztecs and the ancient cultures in Mexico, they used to have and they used to wear. So what you can find there is like the mix out of what all of the cultures that were living in Mexico before Spanish came, and they were mixed in this phenomenon called syncretism. So for example, you can see also the Virgin Mary of Guadalupe that is very important in Mexico because most of the people are Catholics. And also this Virgin Mary is also, it also has some traits about, which are similar to the people that lived before in Mexico. So you cannot just find it just in Mexico, but all around Latin America. And everyone usually in Mexico has their own interpretation about how it should be. So you can see it here. Every 12th of December, there are many people, millions of people, going to this church where this Virgin Mary is. So what they do is that sometimes, some of them, like for a couple of days, they go walking over there for several hundred kilometers, but all of them they're carrying their different interpretations of the Virgin. So you can see in the next slide, for example, this person, he made like a frame which is covered on wood. On the next one, you can see something different, and on the next one. So in Mexico, everyone has like a different view out of things and their own interpretation of things. So I think that's something very rich that happens in our country. And for example, over here, to make a transition to the Day of the Dead that we're talking today, you can see a mural. In the 1900s, we had these beautiful murals and this muralism movement in Mexico that gave birth like, to new culture that merged the Hispanic and also like indigenous culture that happened before Mexico that wasn't that influential. So I don't know if you can see in the middle, but there is someone over here which looks strange. I don't know if you can see this lady, but this lady pops out to the side, right? This is the skeleton lady who is actually like elegantly dressed. She is like a Catrina, and she was drawn by Jose Posadas, who you can see on the right. So maybe, for example, if you have been familiar to Mexican culture, you can see also Frida Kahlo on the left, and Diego Rivera, who was the actual painter of this mural, and who actually was the husband of Frida Kahlo. But, well, you can find this mural in Mexico City in Hotel del Prado. So if you ever go to Mexico City, you can see it there. And, well, I would like to introduce Dio, who will talk more about on the Day of the Dead.
Well, thank you very much, Noé. So by now you have a pretty good idea of how Mexico looks like, but for what we all came here for, the Day of the Dead, right? So, what is it all about? First of all, before I explain how it is celebrated nowadays, I think it's important to know where does it come from. So, what is it? As Noé already told us, Mexico is a place where a lot of mixture of cultures takes place. And in this case, the Day of the Dead is something similar. On the one side, we have the pre-Hispanic cult of the dead, which is a little bit broad to explain this short presentation, but for us it is important to say that death played an important role. This might sound like a phrase from the Lion King, but it's like the circle of life, right? So for the indigenous people in Mexico, for there to be new life, there has to be death. So that's why we see often, or we hear about the sacrifices and the blood, right? But we can see that on the right hand side, that handsome guy over there is Mictlantecutli, the god of the dead, to whom many sacrifices were made, the lord of the underworld, and so forth and so on. But well, and that's on the one side, the pre-Hispanic cult, and we also have the Christianity, which was brought by the Spanish missioners during the colonization time. This specifically is the All Saints' Day, which is a Christian festivity where the people who have attained beatific vision and can thus go to heaven, well, they are all commemorated on this day. So the missioners back then tried to mix the views that the indigenous people had back then with, they tried to modify it to fit into the Christian religion because people were not really willing to adapt this new culture brought by the colonizers. So they tried to mix it for them to transform into Christianity. But anyway, this was like 500 years ago, right? So important is what happens nowadays in Mexico, and that is what I'm going to show you. Because if we mix it with some modern Mexican style, we get the modern Day of the Dead, which is a very colorful and joyful celebration in Mexico. And we can see here more of these kind of typical skeletons, and also these yellow flowers play a very important role, which I'll talk to you more about in a few seconds. But I think something that people very often misunderstand is our thoughts about death, because many people, when they see like all the skeletons and like our names written on skulls and stuff, they think that we're wishing death to someone, but it's not about that. On the contrary, because when someone passes away, it's kind of a sad event, right? So why make it even sadder? Why be gloomy about it? So instead of that, we try to be cheerful about this, because that's how Mexicans are overall. We are very cheerful people, and therefore we try to make out of this unfortunate event something less tragic. So yeah, basically always look on the bright side of life. So how do we celebrate? Something very typical of this day is the altars and the offerings. Each one has, each family or each person has its own way of celebrating, but there are some common things. For example, many people go to the cemetery in the night to bring flowers to their loved ones, to the graves. Some people will even stay there to talk a little bit with the people who have passed away, because, well, supposedly the spirits of our dear or our family comes back on this day. So it's an opportunity to be together again, both living and dead. The cempasúchil flower, this yellow flower that I talked about, this is part of the pre-Hispanic heritage, because it was the color of the dead back then, and it is then, we usually have a path that leads the spirit of the dead into the altar, so that they can find all their food and favorite stuff. Their altars can be very different. For example, here on the left-hand side, you can see a church that was fully decorated on the front side. So this is a massive altar, right? But it doesn't have to be like that. It can also be very personal. For example, in a household. Yeah. Well, a friend of mine is going to explain to you a little bit more about the altars. But I think it's funny. I just noticed the bottle over there. That's tequila corralejo. If anyone drinks enough tequila, you might know. And if not, you can come ask me some other time. It's a good one. So yeah, and enough about this. So our next point on the Day of the Dead is La Catrina and Calaveritas, which Noé already introduced to us. But who is this dressed up lady, La Catrina? Well, actually, this imagery comes from the times of the Revolution back in 1910. So José Posadas, the creator of this image, was also a satirist in a newspaper. So back then, he used this kind of rhymes and poetry, well, not poetry, but more like rhymes, to make fun of the rich people, of the high-class people, politicians, and yeah, so it was called Las Garbanceras. Well, anyway, so you can see, for example, the format of the paper. And the important thing is that you can see that this lady is very elegantly dressed, and this is just because it's to remind people that no matter how rich you are, how much money you have, which class you belong to, in the end, we're all gonna be dead. And we're all gonna look just like that. And in modern times, we still have this tradition of calaveras literarias, which is like this kind of rhymes. For example, there you see some of the modern Mexican politicians. Some modern writers still make sort of a mock about them. But they don't have to be negative. Sometimes even in classes, in schools, you have like a contest of the best calavera literaria. So you can write about, for example, your teacher. Well, the format of this thing is as if the person was already dead or about to die. But we're not wishing that to anyone, okay? It's important to know. We don't want the teacher dead, we don't want the politicians dead, not all of them. And so yeah, it doesn't have to be negative. You can also, for example, pretend the person is dead and just tell all the good things that you thought about them, right? So just how many good memories you have about this person. So it must not be negative, okay? It's important to remember that despite all the dead people around, it's a good celebration, okay? Next one. For the last one, I want to ask a small question. Does anybody recognize this scene? Please. Precisely, it's Spectre from James Bond. I have good and bad news for you, because actually this is not how we celebrate the Day of the Dead, in case you were wondering. Or more accurately, it wasn't. Because actually it was kind of cool, right? If anyone watched the movie, like all of these dead people walking around, it was pretty nice. So we decided to adopt it and make it even better, Mexican style. So yeah, now last year the Secretary of Tourism decided to make it real, this Parade of the Dead. And in Mexico City and in some other places, in some other cities, local people gather and they make a lot of the costumes and this kind of, yeah, for example, this is actually on top of a pickup, of a car, of a truck, lorry, however you want to call it. So also the bicycles, and you have like these small autos moving around, and all of the people. This is from Loteria, which is like a Mexican traditional game. Anyway, so people have very different ways of dressing up and of celebrating this. So it's a very nice parade, and this year in Mexico City, there's going to be the second Parade of the Dead. So it's quite a nice thing to see. You can find it in YouTube, like most of the things nowadays. So yeah, at this point, I would like to give the word to my friend Chris, who is going to tell you a little bit more about Mexican culture.
Well, thank you, Dio. I'll talk about you guys about food. What do we eat in Mexico? Okay, first of all, I'm pretty sure you guys have eaten before Mexican food, right? So, Mexican food. What is this? Taco Bell. Just say no. Just stay away from that, okay? That is not Mexican food. What is Mexican food then? That is Mexican food. That's better. Tacos. Okay, basically, tacos is made of corn tortilla or flour tortilla, and everything that you can grab with tortilla and you put inside it becomes a taco, right? So in this case, we have like here meat tacos, and this is tacos de carne. Tacos de carne. That's it. Just meat. We add cilantro, lime, sauce, and sour cream, and that's it. You have your tacos. So the next one is I'm gonna talk about tortas. Tortas. That's it. Tortas. The Mexican sandwich. Okay, so tortas is like where, you know, like when you go to school, high school students eat just street food, and that's it. Tamales, on the other hand, this one is a very traditional dish that we usually eat during February 2nd, a very special tradition for Mexicans as well. And everything of this that you can see here is everything with T, tacos, tortas, tamales. Everything is, we call it vitamin T, right? So that actually is pretty, I would say like bad for you, but it's not really, it's just delicious. The next one is pozole. Pozole is basically hominy. So pozole, we eat this delicious food during September 15 at night. We usually celebrate our independence from Spain. So pozole, like hominy, you can add some radish, you can add some lettuce, you can add as well meat, and there is also a vegetarian version for that. If you don't want to eat meat, you can eat actually chicken, or you can put it to like mushrooms. But the delicious part is just with meat. So the next one is gonna be enchiladas. You can see, guys, here is like green, white, and red, right? Those, as you can see here, are our colors of our national flag. So green, white, red again. So you can, it's basically like a taco, but you cover it with a sauce. The difference basically here is just the sauce, and you can decorate it here to make it more delicious. The next one is quesadilla. Quesadilla is just, again, the corn tortilla or a flour tortilla, and then you put the cheese inside of here. Well, we're not going to talk about like if we can put cheese or anything else. Like it could be also meat, or it could be also different kinds of stuff like you want to have. On your right hand side of this slide, you can see chicken fajitas. So it's gonna be flour tortilla and beef. Could be beef, could be chicken, could be any kind of meat that you will like to add. And guess what? Today we're gonna eat this. So guys, I'm pretty sure you, when you were coming here, you realized that there was special sausages in this side of the room. So I'm gonna tell you guys about like what is this and what do we eat in this special day for us. So first of all, we call this altar, right? So this is a commemoration for us. This is a special device that special stuff that we put in our houses, or yeah, basically in our houses to commemorate our people that already has gone. So to commemorate them, we put some here, some of the photographs, the pictures of our beloved people here. And basically it has three elements here. So we have the first stage here that is actually the word of the dead people. And here, the word of the people who are already gone, and here is the heaven. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about in the next slide. First of all, I want to introduce you guys. I want to let you know what do we eat in this celebration, in this special day. So we eat we call it pan de muerto. The pan de muerto is just bread for the dead, right? For the dead, who's the dead? Our beloved ones, right? So as you can see in the top of this, so we represent the skull. Here we can see some bones. So it's the orange blossom flavor in honor of the deceased. We have some bones here of the dead. Also represents the tears. And in the basement, we see the circular front represents the circle of life. So this is our traditional pan de muerto, and usually we can drink it or we can eat it with chocolate. Kind of traditional beverage as well. So in addition, we usually as well eat sugar calaveras or sugar skulls. We have in different flavors and different presentations, like amaranth calaveras, chocolate calaveras. And this is actually very traditional from this day. So what is this meat? As I was explaining to you guys, we have here paper binders. Here, the paper binders on this side of the altar. So this means actually the fragility, and it's associated with the wind. Okay, so we see here the top level, middle level, and the under level of this altar. So in the middle, we put usually all the stuff that the person who passes away already had, or like it could be toys. It could be a toy, or if our beloved one was a singer, or we can put his guitar. Or what about some tequila? Because we are expecting him or her to come here tonight. So we usually celebrate and decorate with traditional food that our people love before they pass away. So this is basically, guys, what we are celebrating today. This is such an important day for us. And it's becoming actually pretty well known right now around the world that recently Pixar has released a new movie just based on these traditions. So I want to introduce you guys a brief video about how this movie is going to come out in next month. Oh, before, oh, sorry.
To see family and friends, but no living person has ever visited their world until now. Alright, who's in there? I'm sorry. What's going on? You gotta stay with me, boy. We don't know where we are. Monster screaming. Do you mind? Miguel? What is going on? Remind me how I know you? They're your father. We have to get you back home. Welcome. Anything to declare? As a matter of fact, yes.
Well, this is just a part of this movie that is coming. I'm not getting paid by Pixar or anything like that, but just I wanted to show you guys, but because I think it's important. So by now, I want to introduce you guys Carla, who's gonna talk about some Spanish, Mexican slang for you guys, and you can learn, and then we will have some prizes for you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, so we learned a lot about our country's history and culture, and now we probably are all really hungry because of all the food that we just saw. But now I'm going to teach you guys a little bit of Mexican slang, so you guys can learn how to speak Mexican too. And no, that is not an actual language. We speak Spanish. Okay, so the first thing that you guys should learn is obviously how to greet someone, right? So I'm going to teach you all 3 ways to say what's up in Spanish. So the first one, and you guys do have to repeat after me, this is a class. ¿Qué onda?
¿Qué onda?
¿Qué onda?
¿Qué onda?
So literally, this translates to what wave? I don't know why. There's no reason, but that's what we say. ¿Qué onda is our way of saying what's up. Our second one, ¿qué rollo?
¿Qué rollo?
¿Qué rollo?
¿Qué rollo?
And this one actually literally translates to what roll? Kind of like a toilet paper roll. Again, no real reason, but that's what we say. And then our last one, this one's a little special. ¿Qué pedo?
¿Qué pedo?
¿Qué pedo? So this one translates to what part?
No.
So this one's actually very common. A lot of people say it, but also a lot of people might find this word to be vulgar or rude. So don't say it with older people, like your elders. Only use this with your very close friends. But it is very common. We do use it a lot. But again, only with very close friends. Never to your mother. Okay, so now that we've learned how to say hello or what's up, we're going to learn a few more useful expressions. So our first one is que padre.
Que padre.
Que padre.
Que padre.
This one you have to say very excitedly, and it actually translates to what father or have father, and it has nothing to do with your father. This one, can you guys guess what it means? Baby? Not about your baby, not about your father. So this one's a way of saying like, wow, that is so cool, that's awesome, que padre. Yeah. Okay, so our next one, no manches. No manches. It means don't stain. but that's not what we mean when we say this. We don't care if you stain your pants or not. If we say no manches, this is a kind of a surprised expression. So if your friend says something that's really incredible, you'd be like, no manches. So if my boyfriend broke up with me, my girlfriend can say, ay, no manches, that's so sad. So it can be surprised in a negative way, or it can be surprised in a good way. If I say, I got a new car, you guys. My friend can be like, no manches, that's so cool. So it can be just surprised, good or bad. Alright, so this next one is X. X. This actually just translates to the letter X. So the way that we say the letter X in Spanish is X. But what it really means is I'm not interested, whatever, not important. So if my friend says, how was the party last night? I can be X. It wasn't cool, it was boring, lame, whatever. So that's how we say it. Really simple, X. This next one actually does have a little bit of backstory to it and some history. So the word is aguas.
Water.
Aguas. So this translates to waters. But like I said, there actually is a reason and a method behind the madness for this one. So this goes back to history. Back in colonial times, we didn't have drainage systems and we didn't have a way to get rid of dirty water. And by dirty water, I do mean bathroom water. So when we wanted to get rid of the water from the bathroom and the toilets, we'd have to throw it out onto the street, either from the rooftop or from a balcony. Obviously, if you're walking on the street, you don't want toilet water on your head, right? So before we would throw the water out, the person would say, aguas, and then throw the water out. So people on the street would know, oh no, I'm about to get hit by toilet water. So this was a way to warn people. So now we still use it that way. When we want to say, be careful, watch out, something bad's gonna happen, we just say, aguas, be careful. So from aguas, we also have échame aguas. Échame aguas. So this one's throw water on me. And no, this is not a summer party thing. We don't ask our friends to throw water on us. So aguas meant watch out. Échame aguas means like watch out for me. So example, if I am backing my car out of a driveway and my friend is next to me, I might say, échame aguas. Let me know if a car is coming. So watch out for me, be careful for me. So échame aguas. And now two very important words. If you ever decide to go to Mexico and you like to have a drink, cheve and chela. So first one, cheve.
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 Chela.
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 So what do these two words mean? Cerveza. Who knows what cerveza is? Beer. Good. So, beer. If you ever want to ask for a beer in Mexico, instead of having to memorize the word cerveza, you can just say cheve or chela. Una cheve, por favor. Una chela, por favor. Okay, so thank you guys for listening to my awesome, I know, slang. Now, we actually have some prizes for you guys. So we have 3 little questions. This is going to test whether or not you guys are listening to us for the last 40-ish minutes. So, if you know the answer to the question, please raise your hand. If I call on you, give me your answer. If your answer is correct, then you will be one of our lucky winners to take home some prizes. Are you guys ready? Yeah. All right. So question number 1. How many languages, besides Spanish, do we speak in Mexico? Dan? 62. 62? Let's check. Whoa, very good. 62. Check inside the box, there's some extra stuff. Alright, question number 2, ready? Name one thing that we do during Dia de Muertos. In the back.
Ready?
Yeah.
You eat the pan de muertos.
Okay, yes, we do eat pan de muertos. Good. Alright, so if somebody can name something else that we do during Noche de Muertos. Good, we build altars. So you also get a prize. Some other things that we do is we do eat skulls. Sugar skulls, sorry. We eat sugar skulls. And we give offerings, which is part of the altar. And our last question of the night. How do you say watch out in Spanish? Aguas, very good. Alright, we have one more water bottle and candy. There's candy inside you guys, by the way. So we have one more water bottle and candy to give out. Now I gotta think of a question, so give me like 2 seconds. So I gave you guys 3 ways to say what's up. Can you tell me the one that you should not say in front of your parents? Oh wait, no? Yes? Good. Beautiful, you guys. Please don't tell anybody I taught you that. Okay, so that is it for our trivia. No. Okay, so we didn't really get to talk about this a lot, but a traditional style of music in Mexico is mariachi. The hats that our beautiful gentlemen over here have been wearing are traditional mariachi or charro hats. So we've actually prepared 2 songs for you guys today. So I'm about to embarrass myself. Oh yes, we have our beautiful demonstration over here of a little bit of Puerto Rico jazz. Woo! Get some claps there. Negrita de mis pesares, ojos de papel volando, negrita de mis pesares, ojos de papel volando, a todos diles que sí. Pero no les digas cuando así me dijiste a mí, por eso vivo penando. Traes a mi negra que la quiero ver aquí con su rebozo de seda que letra que de mí. Cuando me traes a mi negra que la quiero ver aquí con su rebozo de seda que letra que de mí. instruments is really what makes mariachi so special. When you go to a mariachi show, there's a lot of dancing, and just between them, they're kind of having fun. The instruments are beautiful, they're dressed in cool trajes, and it's really, really spectacular. That's why you don't need a lot of lyrics. This next song that we're going to sing, though, does have a lot more singing, and we do want you guys to sing with us. Does anybody want to come up here and join us? Woo! We do have candies if you come.
The Mexican guys love karaoke.
En la sierra morena, cielito lindo viene bajando. Un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. De la sierra morena, cielito lindo viene bajando. Un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando.
For everybody sing.
Ay, 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 no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo los corazones.
Thank you very much for coming, guys.
Ese lunar que tiene cielito lindo junto a la boca, no se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo que a mí me toca. Ese lunar que tiene cielito lindo junto a la boca, no se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo que a mí me toca. Ay, 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 no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones.
Words of tequila, people. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Alright, that marks the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.